Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. I've changed a bit of my setup. So if you can hear me clearly on the mic, please let me know. We're going to do quite a number of things today. I'll start off first with the wildcard. I think a lot of people are on a game week 6 wildcard. So we're going to have a segment today where I'm just going to spend a good maybe 30 to 45 minutes looking at all of your drafts and rating them. And if you want to send in your drafts to be rated, you can always send it in. I've dropped a pinned message in the chat to my group chat, and you can send in your drafts there. That's where we will be collating all the drafts to rate. Separately, I also need to discuss my transfers, what moves I've done, because I haven't uploaded a team selection video because I only made my moves last night. So I'll discuss the moves that I've made, as you guys can see already. And lastly, I will also build a Game Week 6 wildcard draft that I would likely go with if I was on a Game Week 6 wildcard. Right, so a lot of things to talk about today, a lot of things to talk through. Also, triple captain. I'm sure a lot of people will be thinking about triple captain as well. It's quite split. Some people think that they should triple captain now in game week 6 against Burnley for Haaland. Some people also think that you should wait till game week 13 or even game week 15, where Haaland will have Leeds and Sunderland respectively. So lots of things to talk about. Before we get started, please do help me out. There's already 35 of you guys. Thank you for coming early. Please do help me out and drop a like on the stream. And also subscribe as well if you haven't already. Okay, on the subscriber goal, we are also very close to 12,000 subscribers. So if you guys have been watching all this while, the content, and you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe to the channel. Okay, so I'll start off with my transfers here, as you guys can see on the screen. I made two moves. And I basically sold Salah to bring Haaland in. Now, it's no surprise that I ended up selling Ollie Watkins. I think a lot of people have sold Watkins this week. He dropped in price. And Watkins to Haaland obviously means I need to get money, and the player I've sold to get that money is Salah. I've sold Salah, and I was thinking all week about who I wanted to replace with Salah, and in the end, I narrowed it down to pretty much players from 3 teams. It's either I go for Foden, who's quite expensive. He'll block my move of João Pedro to Gyökeres next week. So that's why I didn't go with him in the end. It was down to Foden and then one of the Everton midfielders, which is Njai, that I was looking at. And also then from Spurs, GW6, because I'm not too keen on Kudus because he is more of an assist threat. He's not really threatening to score a lot of goals. So really, I was looking at Njai, I was looking at GW6, and I was looking at Foden. Now, Foden I ruled out because he's quite expensive. He blocks my João Pedro to Gyökeres move next week. So I kind of ruled him out already. And I think, yes, Burnley in game week 6 is good for him. But game week 7, he has Brentford. That's also good. But in between that, they have a Champions League game. So I'm not too sure whether Foden is going to start the 2 of these games. I talk about 2 games, meaning game week 6 and game week 7, because in game week 8 I'm wildcarding. So it's different from those of you guys who are wildcarding now in game week 6. Right? But for myself, because I'm only looking at a 2 game week horizon, I've chosen not to go with Phil Foden. Right? So then it came down to GW6 and Iliman Njai. Now, I don't mind going for Iliman Njai. I mean, he's on penalties, etc. He's better for minutes as well. But I felt like taking a punt on GW6 because he played earlier this week in the EFL Cup for Spurs, and also he pretty much came off around the 60th to 70th minute. And it makes me think that he will play this Wolves game, and I do think that this Wolves game is one where I can see Tottenham scoring quite a bit. So I'm taking a chance here. on Javi Simmons. And then obviously next week in game week 7, he has Leeds. So if I think he starts against Leeds as well, I can start him. If not, then I can play Ismail Assar against Everton next week and then bench Javi Simmons. So that's mainly the thinking as to why I made those moves. I made it very, very late at night, and I posted it in the gold members chat. And yeah, pretty much those are my moves. All right, so this is the team as it stands. I'm currently still not triple captaining Erling Haaland. I'm very sure that is going to cause a bit of or that's going to turn some heads. So I also want to speak about triple captain as we go along in your questions. All right, so enough rambling on my team. I just wanted to speak a bit about it because I didn't upload a team selection video, but as always, we are streaming for the deadline, so you'll always know my team. All right, so let me start off by saying hi to some of you guys in the chat who have come very early. Thank you very much. Again, please, for those of you guys who have come early, please help me out and drop a like on the stream. Pool fans, nice to see you. Henry, as always, I'm good. Thanks for asking. I hope you're good as well. Stanley, JT, Satyaki Roy as well. Satyaki says, when are you removing Son from the thumbnail? When I get down to changing the intro music, I guess, as well as the intro video. Triple Captain Haaland, yes, we'll talk about that. Thoughts on benching Gyökeres instead of Gabriel? I probably would. I would still start Gyökeres because there's a chance he's ahead of Saka on penalties still. Dimish says, I am 500k in the world. Do I triple captain Haaland or Foden? If it's triple captaining, it's definitely going to be Haaland because he's on penalties. So for me, it's not a choice between the two. It's more a question of whether you actually do it or not. Ryan, nice to see you. Mike says, I've not wildcarded yet. I did Haaland for Watkins and Semenyo for Salah. Still have Verts, Murillo, Konza, etc. Maybe wildcard next week. Yeah, I mean, that is a consideration. Triple captain Haaland, I will speak about that. Bench 1, Wood, Watkins, and Reinders. Wood, Watkins, and Reinders, they all have good fixtures this week, but I mean, Watkins not ideal, right? Can you start all of them? Who's on your bench? Who is on your bench? Okay. Let me just get through a couple more questions before we speak about triple captain. While we're on that as well, let me just put up a poll on triple captain. Are you triple captaining Haaland this week? Okay, please help me out and vote in the poll. I think this would be pretty interesting to see. Are you triple captaining Haaland this week? Okay, lots of questions. Let me just get through as many as I can before I move on to... I really want to rate your drafts today because I know a lot of people are on wildcards. So I will definitely rate your drafts. Just give me a moment. Okay. Okay, for those of you guys who are asking to rate your wildcard drafts, there will be a segment where I'm going to rate all of your screenshots. So you just have to send it into the group chat. If you haven't joined it already, there is a pinned chat message in the live chat. You can head over there and it would bring you to the group chat, or you can scan this QR code here. All you have to do is send your drafts in and I'll have a look. It's easier for me to rate it like that. Thoughts on Saka? I think the thing with Saka is, given that Noni Madueke is now injured, it's pretty likely that Saka's going to start quite consistently. So I have every confidence for those of you guys who are going with Saka that he would start. But it's more a question of, I mean, he's just come back from injury, right? Does he need a bit of time to adjust? And also, do they manage him a little bit, right? Given that he just came back from that injury. Not use any chips. I have not used any chips this week. I have already used my free hit chip. Sean says, what will your wildcard team in Game Week 8 look like? So I will also show you guys how the Game Week 8 wildcard is looking. I've uploaded a video midweek, I think on Wednesday or Thursday, that you can check out. And pretty much for that particular draft, I think it still stands. In terms of the strategy for that draft, it's a wildcard in Game Week 8 and then a bench boost in Game Week 9. So you can check that one out, Sean. If not, I'll show you guys as we get along today. There's lots to cover in today's stream. Bench Reinders or Yorkeres? I wouldn't be comfortable benching Reinders, to be honest. Yorkeres, I mean, you've brought him in. Why don't you start him? I really wonder what are the benches that you guys are having if you're benching these players. Maybe you can drop in how your bench looks like as well. Vincent, member in the chat, thanks for joining. Says just brought Palmer in last game week. Will miss game week 6 and 7. Hopefully back by game week 8. Is it worth a free hit in game week 6? Tank his blank in game week 7 or book a transfer in advance game week 8 and sell him now? I think for Cole Palmer, it's pretty much right now. I think there's too much money in him for you to be even tanking blanks. There's a lot that you can do with the money, so I probably would sell him. All right, even if you just brought him in last week. Adit says, play Xavi and Grealish and Mateta or transfer. I think play all those players. Yeah, I think I'll play all those players. Toby in the chat, nice to see you as well. Let's go. Following you to take Xavi. Yes, I have Xavi Simmons in the team already. Let's hope he does well against Wolves. It's a bit of a gamble, but I do like it. He's on a lot of set pieces as well, which is kind of what pushed me. He has different routes to points. Lionel, nice to see you in the chat. I have TK, but he's suspended. Do you think he will start next game week or will Isak take over? Thinking of transferring him out. I think very soon, right? Even next week, Liverpool play Chelsea. So very soon, Ekitike wouldn't be a player that people want in their teams already. And especially now because he's suspended in game week 6, I'd rather you just transfer him out right now. Right, for one of those forwards that people are going for at this moment. You could go for João Pedro. If not, you could go for Yorkeres as well. Going to triple captain Haaland this week, thinking of Gakpo to Foden for a short term. Gakpo to Foden for a short term is alright. I think there are a couple of people that have gone for Foden in their drafts. I think I don't mind it, but he's probably going to be more of a short term punt than a long term, to be honest. I'm not sure how many minutes he's going to get over a longer period of time. Thoughts on Gakpo, Wirtz and Rogers out to Foden, Bumo, and Jai for -4. Plan is to wildcard in game week 8. Yeah, I'm on that strategy as well. Foden, Bumo, and Jai for -4. I think that is just about worth it. Okay. So let me start off firstly with taking a look at a game week 6 wildcard draft for those of you who are on a wildcard strategy. So this is pretty much fpl.team. I'm going to start building the draft. And I'll start with Raya in goal. I'm going to just breeze through it. And then at the end, when I've put in all the players, I'll speak about why I've gone with some of them. I've had a look at a updated Game Week 6 wildcard. So I would still have double Arsenal defense, right? Gabriel and Raya. And then you would have your Senesis of the world. You would also have Tarkowski. Tarkowski is still a player I would go for. I'll drop him down to the bench. And then I would sell Salah. In here would be Iliman Njai. And then you would have... I do think that I would go with Foden on a Game Week 6 wildcard. So Foden is in here as well. And then there's João Pedro. I'll bring Haaland in here. And yeah, pretty much. Wait, let me also add Brian Mbumo in here. And then for that matter, I would also have Strand Larsen. Strand Larsen is really in here as a bench boost option in maybe game week 7, game week 8, that kind of a period. And then Esteve, I think I'll go Goodmanson instead of Esteve. And then for your defender here, you could, I mean, my suggestion here, it depends how much money you have left. If you manage to catch the price rises, then you wouldn't be in the state where you have 5.8. I could actually stretch to Gvardiol. And yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the thing, right? If you go for Foden, you can't go for Gvardiol. So in this spot, a lot of people have gone for like a 4.5, like a Richards. So that's also an option. You could go Anderson as well, but Anderson's fixtures over the longer term is not ideal, right? So yeah, we have to kind of prioritize. I'll leave this draft here first, and then I will kind of elaborate on it as we go along. Thank you very much for the super chat, Ariel. Let me just get to your question. So it says, avoiding the wild card this week, and we'll do it in game week 8. I'm on the strategy as well. I have 2 free transfers. Would you sell Salah and Watkins to Bruno Fernandes and Haaland, or only Wirtz to Foden/Mbumo? I think I would prioritize getting Haaland over just the Foden or just the Mbumo. So I would say sell Salah and Watkins to Bruno Fernandes and Haaland. I think I like those moves. Something you can consider as well, if you have enough money, is actually to do Foden in for Salah and also then Watkins to Haaland. Then you get 2 extra Man City players. That's if you're able to stomach the risk that comes with Phil Foden. Right, so I was tempted to go for Phil Foden as well, but I kind of, didn't go with him in the end just because I preferred to go for Xavi Simons. But yeah, it is an option. Right, so wildcard draft on the screen right now, Raya, Gabriel. So still double Arsenal defense. I think a lot of if I'm to kind of show the template, it's pretty easy to show the template. I just bring Bruno Fernandes in. I put Strand Larsen into Gyökeres. And then I downgrade Mbumo to one of those 5.5s. I think this is the template. Dewsbury Hall. Or even Stack. I mean, Anton Stack is someone you could go for. Right, so this on screen right now, I would say is the template. Game week 6 wild card. But I would try to go a bit different as always, right? And I think it's not a case where I don't like the template. I mean, the template is the template for a reason, and I do think that it does look pretty strong in most of the departments, especially the defense. You have a lot of DEFCON monsters in Senesi and Tarkovsky. I mean, even here against even here is your 4.5. You could go for a Joachim Anderson. All right, so it's really up to you. I mean, all of them are DEFCON monsters. But if you want to go a bit different, then I would try to find a way to fit Phil Foden in. I think he's the only one that people would be, at least willing to take a bit of a gamble on. One of the ways you could go about doing it, different from what I showed at the start, is maybe Njai in, and then Bruno Fernandes down to Mbumo. I've seen some people go for this bit of a variation. I think it works as well. You still have your Manchester United asset against Brentford, and then you have Foden in here for Njai. I mean, I think it works, right? And then your Everton asset is still in Keenan Dewsbury Hall, bearing in mind Dewsbury Hall is on 4 yellow cards as well. So you have to think about that. He will be suspended if he gets 1 more. Another way to fit Phil Foden in is what I showed at the start. Let me bring Bruno Fernandes back first. I'll bring Njai in. And yeah, it's to pretty much drop Gyökeres down. You drop Gyökeres down to a really cheap one, like a Strand Larsen, and then you bring Phil Foden into your team this way. So this is, variations of drafts that would try to fit Phil Foden in. I think, honestly, right now, the only thing that's going to make the template different is whether you want Phil Foden or not. So that's something to think about. So for game week 6, this is, again, the wildcard draft that I would, try to go a bit different, right? See where you're willing to take the risk. If not, then I think the template is fine as well. And I'll talk about a game week 8 wild card later on, which is a strategy that I am on. I have built a game week 8 wild card draft. And yeah, I will show it to you guys in a bit. But I just want to get through a couple of your questions. I'll leave this on the screen. I'll leave this on the screen for those of you to have a look. Let me just scroll back a little bit to have a look at your questions. Then after this, we're going to head over to the group chat where I'm going to have a look at all your drafts. Okay. Would you play Anderson over Mateta? No, I wouldn't. What do you think of Richarlison as a punt for 2 weeks? I don't mind that. I don't mind Richarlison as a punt. I think even on your game week 6 wild card, you could try to. I've seen variations of it that try to fit Richarlison in. So something like this. Sorry, if I can type his name properly. Right. So I've seen. I mean, given that Dominic Solanke is out, right? You could take a punt. I mean, you see, I have 0.0 million just nice as well. So it allows you to, fit Richarlison in. But what you can do if you can't afford the budget is just simply just use Rehaul like this. This works as well. This really works as well. But you see, it's not going to vary too different from the whatever else everyone else is doing, right? It's just really just one or two different changes. But if not, I think the template is very, very strong. The wildcard template this week is very similar. Most have João Pedro, Haaland, Stack, Bruno, Semenyo, Reinders. This game week is going to come down to Spurs defenders versus the rest. Yeah, fair enough. I mean that is likely going to be the case. I do have 2 Spurs defenders against Wolves. I'm hoping they go absolutely berserk. That would be really good, considering that I am on a wildcard 8 strategy. Kudos for Javi. I've gone for Javi Simmons in my own team. I should switch back a little bit so that people don't confuse my current team. So yeah, this is currently where I'm at. Kudos is the safer pick. All right, and if I'm going for long term, then Kudos is the one I will go for. If you're gambling on 2 weeks, then I think Javi Simmons is the one with a slightly higher ceiling. So Yaki says, would you sell Sanchez for a hit with no money in the bank? I don't think it's necessary to make keeper transfers. Yeah. Front 8 is Haaland, João Pedro, Gyökeres, Fernandes, Javi Simmons, Semenyo, and Jai Reinders. Need to bench one. Between Gyökeres and Reinders first to bench. I see. That is a pretty strong team. I guess you could. I guess you could justify benching Gyökeres, I guess, against Newcastle. Free hitting this week. Vicario, Porro, Vardiol, Keane. I mean, I wouldn't go for Keane. I prefer Tarkowski, Salah, Reinders, Simmons, Jai, Enzo, Haaland, captain. I think even Enzo not so necessary. I would have to fit Semenyo in your team. Like, find a way to fit Semenyo in your team. Why isn't Isak a popular transfer in? I think it's largely coming down to the Chelsea fixture in game week 7 that Liverpool have. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look at the Okay, let's have a look at the rate your draft section. All right, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go over to the group chat. You can scan this QR code. It will still be on the screen as I switch, or it be the pinned chat on the live chat, or the pinned comment in the live chat, and you can send your drafts in there. I'm going to have a look at all your drafts right now. Okay. Send in all your drafts. I'm gonna start off with, I started asking for drafts since this afternoon, so there's lots of drafts in there. I'm going to spend a while having a look at them, all right? Okay, so again, if you want your drafts rated, all you have to do is just this way, scan the QR code that's at the bottom of the screen, and I'll have a look at your drafts. Okay, so let's start off with this draft. Sorry, this isn't a wildcard draft. This is a transfer. I'm gonna look at wildcard drafts just specifically for this section. Okay, so for this is a wildcard draft from username S. I have no idea. But yeah, so it's Raya, Anderson, Senesi, and Gabriel. I mean, you see the template already forming, right? Right, Raya, Senesi, Gabriel. Tarkovsky is on the bench here. And then it's Bumo, Stack, Semenyo, Njai, Reinders, Haaland, João Pedro. I have nothing to say about this draft, right? It's so strong. It is very, very strong. And I think the compromises here is just dropping Fernandez down to Brian and Bumo. You get to keep Gyökeres. And yeah, I mean, given that you have the template would be Bruno Fernandes, but given that you have gone with Mbumo, then I think it allows for you to have a slightly stronger defense where you have a slightly stronger defense where you have Anderson, Senesi, Gabriel, and also Tarkovsky. Like I think it works. I think it works, man. Okay, so I give this. I mean, I have to say, right, like 8.59. Like the template is very strong this week. Okay, next draft. This is by Nas. So Raya and Dubravka again. Gabriel, Senesi, Tarkovsky, Anderson, Eldoret. I think Eldoret is interesting. The 4.0 million bench option that you choose to go with, I think also helps you to keep your options open as to whether you want to bench boost for those who still have the chip, right? Whether you want to bench boost in game week 7 or even game week 8. Like I think game week 8 is going to be quite a popular bench boost window. I'm on a wild card in game week 8, so I can't bench boost in game week 8. Midfield is, João Pedro, Gyökeres, Haaland, Semenyo, Njai, Reinders, Bruno Fernandes, Stack. I mean, I feel like most of the drafts actually pick themselves, you know. Right. So Raya, Dubravka, Van de Ven. So Van de Ven here is interesting. Saliba instead of Gabriel here. I mean, there's a couple of differences, right? And then Bruno Fernandes, Semenyo, Reinders, Saka. All right, so this is a great opportunity for me to speak about a Saka draft versus a Gyökeres draft. Like for those of you who feel like you're not very or not very convinced by Gyökeres's performance of late, and you're also favoring someone like Saka, but you know what you're gonna get, then I think going for Saka over Gyökeres is justified. I wouldn't advise against it. I can understand why people prefer, right, to go for Saka. And then Richarlison up front, right? Going for Saka also allows you to have that Spurs attacker, Richarlison up front. So I actually like this draft. I do like it. The only thing is I'd still choose to go for Gabriel over Saliba. That's one thing. And for Van de Ven, aside from game week 6 and game week 7, then I think fixtures after that look quite bad. He's also not super good for defensive contributions, so maybe something to think about there. But if not, I quite like this draft. Okay, apologies. Okay, back. Sorry, give me a moment. Let me just check on something. Okay, let's go back to rating some drafts. Okay, yeah, so I do like that one. I think it was from, yeah, Yaroslav, right? So I like this draft. Let's go next one. Raya Senesi Gabriel. I mean, okay, so the difference here for this draft is having two 4.5 million defenders, right? Anderson as well as Richards. I'm not too keen on that because then a lot of money is locked up in your defense. Most of the time, especially with how FPL is shaping up this season, I think most of the time you want to be playing 7 attackers. There is, of course, the off chance that with good fixtures you start with 4, but I think that's kind of the maximum. So I don't think you need 5 really strong defenders, and I would still prefer to drop one of them down to either like a Estev or a Rodon, a Goodmanson, or Alderete from Sunderland. I think or even Ballard from Sunderland. I think all these players, I prefer them over like a 4.5 in Anderson as well as Richards. And I think actually Ballard is 4.5, so take him out, right? But yeah, go for a 4.0 million bench fodder, one that would have good fixtures in times when you will want to bench boost, and then just have another a 4.5 as your second defender on the bench. So one 4.0, one 4.5, and then all your starting defenders can be pretty expensive, like Gabriel, Tarkovsky, Senesi. So I don't really like having too much money in the bank. So I'll probably give this like an 8. But yeah, if not, the rest of the picks, again, pretty standard. Pretty standard. Okay, let's go. Plan is to bench boost in... Sorry, is this a wildcard draft? Yeah, I think this looks like a... This does look like a wildcard draft. Keeper though, I wouldn't go for... I wouldn't go for Rovs. All right, Van de Ven, Senesi, Calafiori, Kudus, Reinders, Salah, Semenyo. All right, so Haaland plus Salah drafts for Game Week 6 wildcard. I think there is just about enough reason not to go for Salah, given that for Game Week 6 specifically, there's quite a lot of good mid-priced options, like an Njai or like a Semenyo, like an Njai, like a Grealish. But Grealish you wouldn't go for on a wild card. But basically those mid-price options, like even in Mbumo or Bruno Fernandes or Kudus or Xavi Simons, like all these mid-price options actually have good fixtures in Game Week 6 that it justifies going without Salah. And yeah, Crystal Palace away is not easy. Game Week 7, Salah will also have Chelsea. So it's not going to be easy for Salah these 2 games, which is why I would say overall you would prefer I would prefer not going with a Salah and Haaland draft. But then again, I also have to bear in mind that my own Game Week 8 wildcard draft is a draft with both Salah and Haaland. So if you are really thinking long term and you're willing to kind of sacrifice a bit, then I guess this could work. Right? I guess going a Salah and Haaland draft could make a bit of sense. Okay, I've seen some of you guys. I'm just gonna read through the chat for a little bit just in case I missed anything. Yeah, and as I'm rating the drafts, just send in your comments in the chat anywhere if you have any questions. Okay, let's go. Next one. So this is a Vardiol draft with Chala. Okay, one look, and I think this draft is a bit too expensive in the defense. I think the issue with going with 5 really strong defenders is I really think that at some point in time, you're going to want to take money out of the defense and put it into either your midfield or your forward positions. And that's why I would rather just go for 4.0, have that extra money either in your in your bank or in one of those players in your midfield or in your forwards, which would pretty much just allow you to move it around easier without having to make two transfers. I don't think there's a need for such a strong defense. If not, I think the rest of the players is all right. Is all right. Okay, let's go. This is not a wildcard draft. Okay, so this is a wildcard draft from Al Asadi, right? So I wouldn't have Martinez. I mean, Aston Villa keeper. I wouldn't go there. The Livramento pick. Okay, so again, the defense I think is slightly too expensive. I take some money out of the defense. That's one. Going for Timber is interesting. I think I'm just about okay with that because I do think that when the fixtures start to come thick and fast, especially with like Champions League, etc., that there is every chance they choose to rest someone like a Timber. They have decent options on the bench to kind of rotate. Van der Ven, again, game week 6 and 7 is alright. After that, it starts to get tricky. Senesi is alright. Livramento, I'm thinking you're putting him in here with the idea that from, I think, game week 8 onwards, the fixtures are okay. But I actually wouldn't go Livramento if I'm going for a Newcastle defender. I would go for Dan Burn. And then Mark Gahey, I think I prefer Richards over Gahey because Richards is better for DEFCON. Right, and then your midfielders, Eze. The thing with an Eze pick is that I've seen a lot of people go for Eze. I just don't know if I'm as confident as them about his minutes. I think once Odegaard comes back, I wouldn't be very confident of Eze's minutes. Right, yes, I mean he could start now ahead of someone like a Mikel Merino. He could also start on the left ahead of Trossard, ahead of Martinelli. But yeah, I just do think that there's too much quality. In the Arsenal midfield. Okay, another wildcard draft. Defense looks good. Right, this one is by Tayo. Defense looks good in the starting 11. But on the bench, you have Gabriel and Richards. So again, I would choose one between Anderson and Richards. I don't think you need two 4.5s as your 4th and 5th defender. If not, aside from that, I think the rest of your picks are alright. Right? Foden, Njai, Semenyo, Kudus, João Pedro, Gyökeres, Haaland. Choosing to bench Reinders instead of Gyökeres, I guess that's okay. It's an individual decision. But yeah, if not, I think this draft is pretty much a 9. It's just you just have to change out one of your Richards or Anderson defenders. I think people sometimes fall into the trap of using up all your budget and then you think that you should upgrade your 4.0 million defender who's on the bench to just a 4.5 or 4.6 just because you have the money. I think that's a bit of a trap because you will want this money to be spent in your midfield or your forward positions later down the line. Okay, let me go on. So this one is by Hani. It's Raya, Gabriel, Senesi, Van der Ven. Your other defenders are Munoz and Esther from the bench. I actually don't think Crystal Palace's fixtures are that good over the next few that you would want Munoz. He's quite expensive, so I don't think I'd actually go Munoz. This is not a wildcard draft though. Yeah, this is definitely not a wildcard draft. I've just seen you play your wildcard in game week 3. In which case, I think for this week, if you're just asking for thoughts, then I think the starting 11 is pretty much all right. I think for this week alone, starting 11 is all right. Yeah, I'm going to focus on wildcard drafts. So I'm going to make sure, I've seen this already. This is a wildcard draft. So João Pedro, Haaland, Gyökeres, Foden, Fernandes, Reinders, Semenyo, and then you have Van de Ven, Tarkowski, and Gabriel. On the bench, Rodon, Senesi, and King. Can you go for Keenan Dewsbury Hall instead of King? I think if you can eke out some funds for that, I think that's what I'd do, Connor. Rate the wild card. Donnarumma. Oh, Donnarumma on a wild card is pretty interesting. Donnarumma on a wild card is I think one of the ways that people can choose to find entry into the Man City defense. I think the only issue that I have with that is I'm not as confident of the Man City defense as I am confident of the Arsenal defense. I'll still prefer over the long period of time to go for Raya. I think in the shorter term, yes, I mean Donnarumma has slightly better fixtures, but for me the Arsenal defense is still like a league above many of the other defenses in the Premier League. Okay, let's have a look at the next draft. I'm going to try and spend as much time rating all of your drafts. So if you haven't sent it in yet, just drop your drafts in. Just get a sip of water. Let me just check on the chat if you guys haven't. 192 votes. Oh my. Look at the triple captain poll. It's 50-50. Or 51-49. It's 50-50. That's actually insane. That's actually insane. Vincent says, start Munoz or Dorgu. I think just about Dorgu. Just about. Can you clear my benching dilemmas between Gyökeres, Reinders, Kudus, and Njai? I think I've seen a few bench Reinders already. I've seen a few bench Reinders. That's the issue with this week's fixtures also. It's good fixtures for quite a few teams. And then Gyökeres has Newcastle, but he is Gyökeres. I think it's close between Gyökeres and Reinders. I think just about. Honestly, this one has to come down to personal preference. If it's just me, it would help if I Foden, and then I can start Foden and Haaland and then bench Reinders and still start Gyökeres. Yeah, if not, it really comes down to personal preference. I'm gonna sit on the fence on this one if I can. Yes, I'm still rating your wildcard draft, so just send it in. Melvin says, should I start Watkins or Verts? I start Watkins. I needed some advice. Would you play Rogers, Saar, or Anderson? I I think Anderson just about. Smiler is just back from injury though. Johnny says, do I bench Trafford away to Leeds or Gabriel away to Newcastle? I would bench Gabriel away to Newcastle. I would start Trafford away to Leeds. Ariel says, I have a feeling when Wildcard in game week 8 comes around. I have a feeling when game week 8 comes around that you would want Salah and Haaland in your Wildcard. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure. I've built the draft already. I'm pretty sure that I would want both. Is Wildcard a good choice? I have Salah with no Haaland and I need to change Sanchez, have one transfer. I don't think it's a need to change Sanchez though. Why is it that you can post a comment in the Telegram channel? It's a group chat. It's a group chat. Oops. It's a group chat. Just give me a while. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get back to rating your drafts. If you haven't, send it in. We're going to rate for, again, messed it up again. Okay. Yeah, if you haven't, just send it in. I'll go on for maybe about 10 to 15 more minutes of rating your drafts. Hopefully I can get through everyone's one. Yeah, I mean, this is a typical, like a game week 6 wild card that has a benching headache. Yeah, if it's between Reinders and Gyökeres, it's really like a flip a coin kind of a situation. Right, okay, HK says 1 or 2, ranked 7 million, worst start ever, and I can't be template when I'm that rank. Which is not true actually. I don't think just because you're that rank you can't go template. I mean, it's a question of building a draft that you think does very well in the next few game weeks, whether or not it's template. By the way, Team 1 delays the bench boost, but if I take a punt on Foden and have 3 free transfers in game week 8, I could sell him to a 7 million or under mid and upgrade Mark Giu to Jorgen Strand Larsen. Okay, let's have a look at draft 1 and draft 2. So basically a dead spot for your last forward. That's draft 1. Draft 2, you have Strand Larsen already. I think I just about prefer the balance of draft 2. Yeah, your draft 1, I mean, it's pretty much a dead spot on your third forward. I would prefer draft 2 for this one. Took a -8 this week. Do I just hit the wild card? Your team looks fine this week. If you're taking a -8 just to get here, you will get your transfers back though, which is. But I'm assuming you only have 1 free transfer, and that's why you are on a -8 just to get this team. I think the -8 is the max that I would go. If I'm anything between -12 and -16 or beyond, I would definitely hit the wild card. I think -8 is a bit more of a discussion point. Would I hit the wild card in your spot? Okay, I think just about no. Okay, let's have a look. I've seen I've missed a couple of drafts. If I missed your draft, just send it in again. Is a menu essential? I would say on a wild card, he's one of the first few names I put in there. Would you triple captain Haaland? I'm as of now still not triple captaining Haaland. I have to find a way to stop this from happening. Right, yeah, but I would just about not triple captain Haaland. computer is glitching. Okay, let's have a look. Another wildcard draft. Vicario and Poro. So it's a double Spurs. Not too keen on that because fixtures are not going to be very good for Spurs very soon. And yeah, even having one Spurs defender already, I think it's more than enough. Poro he could be a placeholder for someone like a Tarkovsky, so I guess that's fine. Gabriel Senesi, and then in midfield, Njai, Semenyo, Bruno Fernandes, Kudus. Yeah, I think the rest of your draft is alright. I wouldn't go for Tuanzebe though. I would go for Estev. Wildcard draft. If you're on a wildcard, I don't think there's a need to have Ismail Assar or Minte. That's the comments for this draft. And Dan Burn against Arsenal though. Yeah, I make some defensive transfers here to remove Dan Burn. Right, I think you could go for a Tarkovsky, you could go for a Spurs defender, whichever you prefer. Midfield, I don't really like the Minte and Ismail Assar pick. Like Minte, I think I could just about justify ahead of Ismail Assar because Brighton's fixtures are slightly better, but I wouldn't have Sarr in the... And I think it lacks a bit of Arsenal. Like whether it's one Saka or one Gyökeres, or at the minimum, maybe a double defense for Arsenal. Right, not a wildcard draft. Wildcard and free is still unused. Enough in the bank for Raya in Game Week 7. Yeah, I mean, if this is not a wildcard draft, it does look decent for this week. This is wildcard draft. Right, so Raya, Timber, Senesi, and Romero. And Bruno Fernandes, Reinders, Njai Semenyo, Haaland, Richarlison, and João Pedro. I think this draft looks good. I give it like a 8.59. I haven't seen this one. Let me have a look. Thanks for... Okay, so if I haven't seen your draft, either just post it again or just let me know I haven't seen it. Oh, I commented on this one already though. Like I wouldn't want double Spurs defense. Right, I saw this already. Might put Richarlison in. Arfin says, might put Richarlison in. This would then give me enough funds to switch Bruno for Foden just in case. You already have Foden though. And you already don't have Bruno. Okay, so draft-wise, yeah, I mean, it's quite close to the template. It's one of those variations that I've showed just now, where if you want to fit Foden in, then I guess Bruno Fernandes out is one of your routes there. What about this? Still not decided. So it's Senesi. I don't really want double 4.0 defenders though. I think that is a bit tight. So if you can upgrade one of them to a 4.5, maybe by dropping Dan Burn down to a 4.5 as well, that could work. And then Doku, I would just be slightly worried about his minutes and Pep Roulette, and the rest of your picks are fine. Like Caicedo, I think Caicedo is an outside shout. If I can get my words out. This is, I think that's not a wildcard draft. I'm really trying to look at wildcard drafts right now. Donnarumma, Van de Ven. Okay, this one I wouldn't have Watkins and even Matty Cash. Like I wouldn't have both of these players. The rest of your other players, I think you might be a Spurs fan, right? Triple Spurs, but you have to find a way to get rid of them after Game Week 7. Do you think Chaluba is a better option than a cheaper Palace defender and save money in the bank? I would want to save money in the bank. That's the thing. I would want to save money in the bank so that you can put it into your, midfield or your forward positions. Yeah, so I would say that start Senesi and then go for maybe a cheap Palace defender and save money in the bank. That would be my choice. Okay, I'm gonna look out for wildcard drafts. So if you aren't on your wildcard, then I'm going to just try and I'll reply them later, but I'll try to focus on rating wildcard drafts right now. Okay. Okay, so the rest aren't wildcard drafts. Let me have a look at the next chat now. I've seen a couple of drafts sent in already. If it's again a repeat, okay, this is a repeat. Captain Haaland. Wildcard is active. Big at the back. Oh, big at the back is interesting. Big at the back is interesting. I quite like this one. I actually haven't. I think this draft is very interesting. And I think it actually, given that it's big at the back, warrants a bit of a dead spot on your bench, like a 4.3 Mark EU. I quite like this, to be honest. It's slightly different than the 3-4-3 that everyone's going for. I can see this draft doing well, to be honest. I'll give it a 9. I quite like this. Okay, I don't think this one is on a wild card. Let me just see if there's other wild cards. This one is not on a wild card. I'll rate all the drafts, all the usual rate my teams that aren't wild cards later on. I'll get to them, but at least just for this section while we're streaming, I just want to have a look at wild card drafts. Your forwards, your midfielders, they're all fine. I think it's defense where I think there could be a bit of help. I think Elder against Nottingham Forest not ideal this week. Maybe even going for Goodmanson in that spot if you want to still go for Burn and Richards. I think maybe Goodmanson instead of Eldoret if you want to keep Burn and Richards. Okay, so a couple of wildcard drafts. Charlison, Gyökeres, Haaland. Darlow is quite expensive though. Is Darlow 4.0? Let me just check. If he's 4.0, I think he's in with a shout though. He's been starting. Darlow's 4.0. Yeah, he has been starting. If he gets a bit more starts, I don't mind him as an option. Yeah, Gakpo, Richards. Gakpo on the bench. Is this a wildcard draft? Yeah, I wouldn't have Gakpo in the team. I'd take him out, go for another midfielder. Reinders, Semenyo, and Jai Bruno Fernandes. Yeah, I think the rest of your draft looks alright. Looks alright. This is a Donnarumma draft, I would note as well. Okay, this is again wildcard draft. Donnarumma, Dubravka, Nico Williams, Tarkowski, Van de Ven, Livramento, and Saliba. I think those Livramento picks are really just looking slightly longer term, which I'm okay with. But you see here that you have no 4.0. Like there's a lot of money in your defense. I think you could drop Nico Williams down to a cheap defender. Maybe a Esteve, a Goodmanson. Ndoye is also not someone I would go with. I prefer Njai. It's a bit of a tongue twister. And Foden I wouldn't have in the team. Gordon has Arsenal. I wouldn't include Gordon this week as well. So yeah. I wouldn't go. I think this draft is maybe a 6, unfortunately. Okay. Last few drafts. Potentially using triple cap. Sorry, I'll answer that later. Okay, I'll get to all those kind of individual questions in a bit later on. But yeah, let me just go back to my team because we're going to end the stream in a bit. I mean, let me just switch it back to this one. All right, so thank you all for sending in your teams to the chat. It's been pretty fun rating all these drafts. Okay, so I'm gonna just wrap up this stream. So I have again, right, Sanchez in goal here. Porro and Van de Ven is my double defense. I have Anderson as well. And then it's Javi Simmons, Bruno Fernandes, who's my vice captain, and Semenyo and Reinders. Up front, it's Haaland, João Pedro, as well as Mateta. So this week, the two moves I made was Salah and Watkins out for Haaland and Javi Simmons. Javi Simmons is a bit of a risk. I accept that and I know that, but it's mainly because Ismail Assar is back fit already. So if game week 7 Javi Simmons doesn't start, I can start Ismail Assar against Everton. Right? If not, the plan for next week is actually João Pedro to Gyökeres. And yeah, get Gyökeres in for West Ham, and then I would wildcard in game week 8. So that is roughly my plan for this week and also next week in game week 7, and then wildcard draft for game week 8. It's going to be exciting. I'll show it to you guys as we get closer. All right, so thank you all for coming down for today's stream. I hope you guys enjoyed the rating wildcard section to share a bit of my thoughts on lots of the drafts that I've seen this week, and also just wrapping up today's stream. There will be more content coming out very soon. As soon as tonight after the games, I'll start game week 7 content. And yeah, I'll catch you guys there. All the best for game week 6, especially those of you guys who are on a wild card or you're on some form of a chip, maybe a triple captain chip. All the best. And I will probably not triple captain, just for that matter. I'm still thinking of triple captaining in game week 13 or game week 15 instead. At least that's how it stands. I will again post the final team on Instagram, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you for tuning in. If you have any further questions, just drop it in the group chat. I will always be active there, and I'll catch you guys very, very soon. Bye-bye.